Hikers and campers, you don't want to watch this. People vanish in national parks all the time, not just the occasional lost hiker or reckless camper who ignores trail markers. Those are easy to explain. No, it's the others. The ones that defy logical explanation. These are the ones I can't seem to forget. The ones who disappear without a trace, like the earth itself opened up and swallowed them whole. No footprints, no gear strewn about, no sign of a struggle. They're just gone. I've been a park ranger for more than a decade. You'd think after that long nothing would surprise me anymore, but the following instances still keep me up at night. Perhaps it's because they have a way of bending the rules of reality. I've seen things out here that I can't talk about. Not to my friends, not to my family. I don't want to be thought of as crazy. There's one spot in particular that I avoid like the plague. It's a clearing deep in the northern part of the park. It's not shown on any of the park maps, and this sounds really weird, but I'm not convinced it's always in the same place. It's as if it moves, waiting for some unlucky bastard to stumble upon it. The first time it struck me how wrong this place was about 5 years ago. The ranger's office got a call about a missing child, a little girl named Janie who'd wandered off while her family was setting up camp. These cases are usually resolved quickly. Kids don't get far, especially not in rough terrain. But somehow Janie has managed to vanish into thin air. For 3 solid days we scoured the woods with dogs, helicopters, and volunteers. Nothing. No footprints, no scent trail, no articles of clothing. On the 4th day we found her, or at least a version of her. Janie was standing in the middle of a clearing, completely still. Her clothes were torn and dirty, her face scratched, but she wasn't crying. She wasn't moving. She just stared blankly into the trees, her eyes glassy and unfocused. When we approached, she didn't respond to us. Not to her name, not to her parents' pleas, not even when her mother sobbed and clutched her shoulders. It was like Janie wasn't there anymore. The essence of her was gone. When we tried to carry her out, she resisted, not in a tantrum-like way, but as if leaving the clearing physically hurt her. Her eyes kept darting back like she was leaving a piece of herself behind, or maybe she was looking for permission to leave. We took her to the hospital. Physically, she was fine, but she never spoke again during this time, not to her parents, not to doctors, not to anyone. Her family moved away a few months later. I don't know what happened to her, but her blank expression haunts my dreams to this day. A couple years after Janie, it happened again. A seasoned hiker named Brent, someone who knew this park better than most of us rangers, went missing. He had always been careful, checked in at the ranger station, carried more gear than he needed, and stuck to well-known trails. Brent disappeared near the same area as Janie. We searched for 5 days, combing every inch of the forest. On the 5th day we found his backpack. It was propped up neatly against a tree, fully packed, as if he'd only stepped away for a moment. But there was no sign of Brent. There were no tracks leading away, no signs of a struggle, no indication he'd even been there beyond the backpack itself. To make this experience even more unsettling, the dogs refused to go near the tree, whining and pulling at their leashes. The volunteers didn't want to talk about it, but I saw their faces. They felt it too. We all did. A heavy sense of unease and dread. We never found Brent. We tried our best. My heart always aches for the families of those who go missing. The pain and lack of closure must be heartbreaking. A part of me hopes he just walked away, started over somewhere else. I tell myself maybe he just wanted a new beginning, to build a new life. Deep inside, I know that's not what happened. But I have to lie to myself to keep the nightmares at bay. These are only a couple of examples. Over the years I've seen similar stories play out time and time again. A missing camper, an empty tent, a single boot left in the middle of a trail. Sometimes we find them days or weeks later, wandering aimlessly miles from where they disappeared with no memory of how they got there. They're alive, but they're not the same. Their eyes have this empty, hollow look, as if something inside them didn't come back. Once I asked one of them, a man named Greg, what happened. He just shook his head and looked at me blankly. After about a minute pause, he whispered, "I can't tell you. It might find me again." The last case I'll tell you about happened 2 years ago. A group of campers reported strange lights in the woods. They described them as glowing orbs that hovered silently between the trees, flickering like dying stars before darting off and disappearing into the forest. When they made the report to our office, myself, along with another ranger, went to the area where they'd noticed the lights. Neither of us saw anything amiss, and though it was late in the evening, we weren't able to see any lights. We briefly spoke with the campers before we left and let them know we didn't notice any orbs. This didn't seem to allay their concerns, and one of the campers, a woman named Hannah, said the lights had made her feel watched. The group decided to leave early the next morning, but when they woke up, Hannah was missing. Her tent was zipped shut from the inside. Her boots sat neatly by the door. They searched the area, calling her name, but the only thing they found was a single handprint burned into the bark of a nearby tree. Search and rescue teams searched the area over the next several weeks, but Hannah was never found. I don't go into that part of the park anymore unless necessary. If someone goes missing there, I'll do my job, but I don't linger. I've learned that these woods don't care about logic or reason. They have their own rules, and if you're not careful, they'll make you part of their stories. I don't know what's out there. I don't want to know. But if you ever find yourself in these woods, and you come across a clearing that feels off, do yourself a favor. Trust your instincts. Turn around. Don't look back. And whatever you do, don't stay. Because some things don't want to be found, and some things might want to find you.